Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You're here with Diva. I hope you're all safe and healthy in this time. So today's pick a card reading is another request. It's mostly about your person's upbringing, how did their parents treat them, how did their parents raise them. Okay, so you have 5 piles. You have pile 1, which is Rider Tarot, pile 2, which is Tarot de Marseille, pile 3, which is Fountain Tarot, pile 4, Mystic Monday, and pile 5, which is Tarot of the She. Okay, so choose with your intuition and go directly to your timestamps. Okay, so pile 1. We went a bit the other way also. I kind of like with the archetypes we're going as if like how did they feel the love from their parents, or how do they see their parents loving them. Okay, so you had the Queen for the way my family raised me, as if like if ever you were to ask your person how do you feel about the way your parents raised you, you have the energy of the Queen. I was treated like a queen. I was treated with tenderness, with a lot of wisdom. And it's like I learned a lot about myself, or it's like I learned that it's like I need to be treated like a king or a queen. I was treated like a queen. I was spoiled even. They would say that to you. That's what they would answer. So what type of connection they had with their parents? You have sensitivity and you have tenderness. So I had a lot of love from, it's like I had that type of connection with my parents. And how did their parents raise them? You have the, like, what's the energy of their parents? It's like the energy connected to the parental love, or the parental connection. It's definitely romantic love, and you have the root chakra. So it's your person felt very safe when they grew up. They felt loved, very loved. They had a very sensitive and tender connection with their parents. And with the Queen, it's definitely I was spoiled. I was spoiled, but then again, I was loved. So I don't necessarily take the love for granted. It's that kind of vibration I got. I just like, I'm very grateful for the way my parents treated me. They protected me always. They made me feel safe. I never missed anything. I didn't miss anything. They always were there for me. They loved me unconditionally. They hugged me. They encouraged me. They motivated me. It was very romantic. It's like a romantic love that they had. And it's like, what type of connection? Sometimes they did argue, let's say, or they had certain like, you know, it's normal with the sensitivity. There were some things that were sensitive, as if like we might have argued with each other, we might kind of argue, fight each other or stuff like that. But then again, we loved ourselves. It's a very like loving way. Their parents raised them in a very loving way. They gave all that they could to this person. So this person doesn't even take that for granted. It's that type of energy. It's like, I'm always grateful for my parents. The protection that they offered me. They allowed me to go camping. They allowed me to go outing. I was like very free. I was spoiled even. It's that energy. So let's see overall what's the main situation. So let's shuffle one more. Okay, what's the main situation? You have the Devil card with the Page of Swords and the Four of Swords. So for some part, okay, Then you have the challenge that I faced when I was growing up with my parents, okay? And with the Knight of Wands energy, which was in the reverse. In the past, you have the King of Swords with the Chariot. In the present moment, you have the Ten of Pentacles. And then in the near future, you have the Fool. So, and one more, two more. Knight of Cups. Nine of Swords. And the Eight of Cups. So how did their parents treat them? Okay, so for some of you, perhaps, and then you have the Four of like Cups. What I really channeled at the beginning, it's more like, yes, I was even spoiled, okay? So it's more like that energy of like, I had so much, I became in that, like, I took many stuff for granted. And this person realized it in the middle of their life. It's like when they kind of start reflecting about the how lucky they were to have those types of parents. So at first, perhaps your person was a bit like the spoiled brat type of person, the spoiled brat that it's like, I take everything for granted because I was loved. I was loved very much. I had a very sensitive and tender kind of connection with my mom or my dad. But overall, with the Devil, the Page of Swords, and the Four of Swords, it's more like because I was too protected, perhaps, or I was too loved, I didn't know the value of not being loved. So in some way, I was very spoiled. I was very like codependent. I could definitely be very codependent on my parents. With the Page of Swords, there's the element of like, sometimes I wished to kind of like be free of this connection when I didn't really necessarily knew the value of family or what my parents did to me. And with the Four of Swords, it's more like I felt like I had to sacrifice, or I did not sacrifice enough for this family. It's a bit like that. As if like the family might have been this way. As if like we were not able to sacrifice enough for you, or we sacrificed ourselves a lot for you, for your education perhaps, for you to gain good material gains or investments. And the reason why with the Knight of Wands, it's more like we were the very it's like in some way the family was a bit like the type that was, it's like, look at me, or we are a very sophisticated family, we are very like, there's a lot of like, sometimes your person had like, the family put a little a bit of expectations on them. But then again, it might be more a mother's thing or a father's thing. As if like the mother figure might have had expectations on the son or the daughter, or the father figure had a certain expectation over them. But for some of you, it's not even that energy. It's more like with the Devil, the Page of Swords, and the Four of like Swords, there's an element of how did my parents raise me, or how did they raise this child. It's like with the Devil, it's more like we were strict a bit. We had a certain controlling element, as if like we wanted to protect our person, our son or our daughter. We were the type that was very protective. As if like we kind of brainwashed our child inside. So it's a bit like we as if like, if there's an element of cultural element, it's like we send our child to cultural school or something, or it's like whatever the culture is, the child went in that field. So it's very like preservative of the culture for some part with the Devil. That's what I kind of tuned into. With the Page of Swords, that's how I read. Okay, I know the Devil card means other stuff, but that's how I read. You can have your own interpretation, it's okay. So with the Page of Swords, it's more like that energy of it's like we wanted you to learn, we wanted you to be independent, we want you to be smart one. It's a bit like that. And with the Four of Swords, it's more like it's okay for us to sacrifice ourselves, or we kind of mentioned sometimes to our child that we did sacrifices, and these were it. But overall, the reason why we were focused on that is that because it's like with the Knight of like Wands, it's more like for some of you it might resonate, for some of you it doesn't. But if this person's family immigrated or emigrated from a certain country because of certain XYZ reasons, it's more a question of, it's like we kind of were the types that were adventurous, and we kind of established ourselves in another country. So it's like, want it or not, we needed to kind of condition you in a specific way. So this person had to it's like, when we're saying conditioning, it's more like if we were like, let's say Jews, we kind of send our child in a Jewish school, but in another country apart from Israel, let's say. It's a bit funny like that. Well, it's not funny, it's very like normal, this. If you are Arabic, or it's like if your person was Arabic, an Arab, sorry, and he's not necessarily, his family came, or her family came from either Saudi Arabia or, you know, Yemen, or, you know, Beirut, let's say, and they kind of came and to USA or Argentina, if there's a school that teaches Arab culture, or Islam culture, it's like I send my child in that environment, and I make sure that my child grows up as an Arab or grows up as a Jew in some way. It's funny, it's not funny, but it's that energy, okay? And I sacrifice myself a lot. So the family always kind of mentioned, or the parents always mentioned to what point they sacrifice themselves for the preservation of the culture or something. But this is more cultural element. Overall energy, I released it, you know it. So with in the past, with the Chariot and the King of Swords, it's more like we always were, it's like on an inward manner, as if like the parents tried to keep their balance the best way possible. When we're saying about keep their balance, it's more like the mother, whoever the mother is, the father, whoever the father is, with all their shadow elements and all their tendencies and all their patterns and all their triggering elements, they always try to do the best for their child. It's a bit like that, but overall on a physical level, how the child or how the son or the daughter took it. With the King of Swords, it's more like it's my way or the highway. It's a bit like strict. It's a bit I talk to you. I kind of, sometimes they might have degraded the child, but then again they were not aware that they degraded the child. But then again the child kind of, it's just little elements, because it's a bit strict. It's a bit like get your shit together, want it or not. So, and in the present moment, connected to, or in the in-between phase, it's like when they kind of started becoming more stable financially. So this one, it's more perhaps the situation was that the child, it's like the family had financial problems at first, but then again the financial problems were settled afterwards. And for some of you, there was no financial issue at all. It's just that there were some elements of like, I had certain tendency, the father figure had certain tendency, the mother figure had certain tendencies, or it could definitely be the other way around, as if like it's more like male, female kind of energy. So that's how it was. With the Fool card in the near future, the Knight of Cups and the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Cups energy, it's like how did the parents raise the child in the, it's like in the perhaps the ending or the near future, let's say, but it's like right now perhaps, or in the near future, you never know. It's like with the Fool, the King, the Knight of Cups and the Eight of like Wands, it's more like they're no longer holding on to the child or something, But then again, there's an element of anxiety connected to it, as if like I miss my child, or I miss my son, because I had this kind of connection with them. And with the Knight of Cups, it's more like I still have that loving connection, and I have a certain blind faith connected to my child or my daughter. So in the past, it's more like we didn't necessarily trust you, or we kind of like, I was gonna say trust you, but then again, the parents didn't necessarily trust the kid to kind of be strong enough to face reality, let's say. It's like, you know how parents are, it's like, I will kind of provide for you until, or for some of you, it's this type of vibration. It's more like I will provide to you until you kind of like leave my house or something. It's that energy, this one. Okay, so this is how their parents treated them or raised them. But they are very grateful for their parents. Whoever this person is, they had a very loving connection. They felt very safe and protected, and they have a very sensitive kind of connection with their parents, but it's still tender. So for some of you, it could be that with one parent, they're more sensitive. There's a lot of sensitivity that's present, as if like sometimes we are in mood swings, or we kind of vibe together, or we are very similar to each other. That's why we kind of butt heads. It's a bit that energy, but there's an energy of like tenderness and love also. Okay, so that was it, pile 1. Now pile 2, whoever chose Tarot de Marseille, welcome to your reading. I hope you're all safe and healthy this time. So let's see overall, how did your person's parents raise them. So overall, how did your person, if ever you were to ask to your person, how did your parents raise you, how do you see it, this is the energy. So you have the Destroyer and the Shaman. So the first thing they would say, it's more like, I'm afraid of a person, as if like my mom or my dad had very scary eyes. I used to like be scared when my mom or my dad looked in my eyes in a specific way, like this. It's like the wolf. It's like they're gonna eat me alive, or they're gonna kill me or something. And with the Shaman, it's more like my mom or my dad believed a lot in magic, or they believed a lot in superstitious stuff like that. Or my mom and my dad used a lot of, like, they always consulted a shaman, or, you know, a person that's very spiritual, or very like into occult sciences. For some of you, it's more like, how did my parents raise me? They raised me in a very magical way, but they wanted me to kind of be strong, perhaps, or they destroyed me or something. They'll tell you that they destroyed me to the point that it's like, I'm a healer now, perhaps. That's the way it's going, perhaps. This one, it's like, I don't know how their parents raised them, this one. This could be definitely good, or this could definitely be very intimidating. So, let's see what type of connection I have with my parents. You have grace. So it's like my parents helped me kind of become very like the word cosmic flower. Okay, so it's funny, I tuned into that energy, and I'm kind of like looking at grace in a different vibration, as if like it's like, you know, with that energy of, it's like you look at something but you never really saw the value in it, but then again, someday you just kind of look at it and you still keep looking at it because there's something sparkly about it. That's how I'm kind of feeling about the grace today. It's very, I was gonna say unusual, but then again, perhaps it's not. It's more like I need to kind of tune into it in a specific way. So it's more like my parents were very enigmatic people. You have coherent. It's like, what type of connection, like what type of parents were they? How did they kind of raise me? And conception. Very like, very similar energies. Conception and coherence for me are quite Very similar. And you have les amoureux, l'amoureux, the lover. Very funny. Yeah, it's funny because it's like very similar energies. You have the destroyer and then you have the shaman. As if like, what would they say? Perhaps they might say that one person raised me this way and the other one raised me this way. So there's an element of my dad destroyed me, but my mom helped me heal. Or my mom destroyed me, my dad helped me heal. Or there's an element of my mom and my dad divorced. So it's like my mom got married and it's a better situation. Or it's the other way around. As if like, it's like once my mom divorced my dad and I kind of like she got married to another person, that's where all the shitty stuff happened. Or it was shitty before, now it's better. But overall, it's more like what would they say about their parents. It's more like something in those lines of like divorce, trauma, sexual abuse. I'm going really, because I don't know. It's like there's something like that. It doesn't need to be extreme like that. Just be careful about how you're kind of interpreting what I'm saying it, and I need to be careful what I'm saying. But for some of you, could be those tendencies, as if like there's a person that got married, it was worse before, now it's better. Or there was an element of it was better before, now it's worse. So either or, there's an element of pressure that your person had to face, okay? Me as the son or the daughter, I had a certain pressure point. I had to face a very like intimidating person, as if like this person, when they looked at me, I felt like they judged me, they destroyed me inside, as if like I had no character. Or one of my parents were very strict with me to the point that destroyed my dreams. Or it's like I felt under control all the time. It's a bit like I didn't have a say perhaps. But then again, there's the shaman, as if like I had to go under pressure so I can, I can break free from it. Or it's like that. It's a bit funny like that, the energy. It's not funny, okay? That's the term I kind of use all the time. It's like a thing I got hooked on. But it's that energy. And it's like what type of connection I had that of grace. But I feel like your person is being a bit gentle here when they're saying this. For some of you, it's more the energy of because of the hardships I needed to face with my parents. Because my parents might be very, very strict with me. With the coherent and the conception, it's more like we have conception. We have a certain like vision. We are pregnant with a lot of ideas. As if like we can definitely take those ideas and put those on my son or my daughter as expectations. It's that energy. So what's the main situation? You have the Ace of Pentacles. Okay. And the challenge that we wished, it's like the challenge connected to raising this child or this person for the parents. You had the Chariot and the Ace of Wands. These two cards. And you have the Ace of Pentacles as the reason. Very interesting. Then you have the reason why, it's the Sun. So we wanted our child to be happy though. Or we wanted them to be happy. So in the past you had the Hermit with the Four of Wands. And King of Swords with the Fool. So you have the Fool also. These are all in the past. In the present moment, you have the Seven of Cups. Inward card. In the present moment, you have another one. You have the Devil card with the Five of Pentacles. And in the near future, you have the Eight of Pentacles the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords. With the Page of Cups and the Three of Cups. And they're practically all in reverse. And you have the Two of Pentacles underneath. So the family was divided into two. For some of you, it's more like my mom was married, my dad was married to two other people, or my mom and my mom divorced each other and there was another side. Okay, so for some of you, it's more that energy. And if it's not divorce, it's more like one person or both of them, perhaps it's like they were not aware, perhaps, that it's like they kind of destroyed me. They kind of like had to put many expectations on me, because with the Ace of Pentacles, it's that energy. It's more like, I want you to grab onto any type of opportunity to kind of like reach out for your own happiness. But then again, it's perhaps my own happiness, as if like I wanted to be like an artist or something, and it's like I was not able to fulfill that, so I always gave you an opportunity to kind of become a good artist or something. It's a bit like that. But then again, my challenge when I was a mother, let's say, or I was a father, it's more like to keep my balance, as if like understand that it's my own life, it's my own visions, and I needed to kind of give it birth to myself. It's like not my child being that energy, okay? For me to be happy or for them to be happy, as if like the family had a certain way of projecting what happiness meant on the child for them, okay? But then again, they're very coherent, they're very pregnant with ideas, so they kind of, for some of you, could definitely be good energy, as if like I always wanted to empower my child. I wanted my child to find his own or her own happiness in a very young manner, as if like from childhood on, I wanted them to kind of like invest in the things that they like to do. But then again, perhaps the child didn't know what they wanted to do, because they wanted to be a child, you know, at that time. And then it's like my challenge as a parent was to kind of understand that it's like my child needs to be passionate about something for them to kind of like go after it with the Chariot energy. It's a bit that energy. So you have many, many ways to go at it. And it's like if the parents were divorced, then it's like each parent had that vision, or one had a specific vision, the other one had another one, and the child was in between. Imagine. So, in the past, connected to how they raised me or how they raised your person, it's like with the King of like Swords in the reverse, okay, it means the inner energy. With the Fool and the Four of Wands, it's more like on a inside manner, the parents felt this way, okay? And on a physical level, how your person saw it, or how it was shown on a physical level, as if like if many people were to look at the reality, the Hermit energy is that. But what was happening inside of them, perhaps one member or two of them, perhaps, you had the Four of Wands, you had the Fool energy in reverse, and you had the King of like Swords. So having the King of Swords, it's more like I wanted to be strict, okay? With the Fool, I wanted to kind of have a certain blind faith connected to the fact of being strict with my child. But with the Four of Wands, it's more like I still, in that strictness, I still wanted to have that connection with my child, okay? But on a physical level, with the Hermit card, it's like it seemed like for some, it's like the parents were too much in their own independence energy, as if like we went after our own goal, or we wanted to impose our goal on our children, but then again, we were not aware of that, perhaps. But the Hermit card is a bit that energy. It's more like it's a Virgo energy. It's the energy of I need to seek my own truths, but then again, this is how it looked on a physical level. So it could have been that the parents were too much after their work, or they were too much after their own expectations of themselves, or they were too distant from the child, perhaps. So they kind of, it's like for the child, it might have been distancing, or it might have felt like they did not necessarily love them. But inside of them, it's like how they kind of like were operating was that I wanted to be strict towards my child. And it's like I had a certain blind faith connected to strictness patterns, as if like strictness had to be done, as if like it's good to be strict towards your child or something. And but still have a certain connection with them. But overall, perhaps the child looked at it in the form of like, my mom did not necessarily put the time to kind of invest with me, or they kind of like, or my dad was not, it's like they were busy with their own family lives, perhaps, if it was a divorce situation. And if it's not a divorce situation, it's more like one of them or both of them went after what they wanted to do. Then in the present moment, it's like with the Five of Pentacles and the, you know, the Seven of Cups and the Devil card in the reverse. They're all in the reverse in the present moment, or in the in-between of their life, as if like my teenage years. It's more like the parents had given up on the child in some way, as if like I've given up, or I did not necessarily, I thought about my child or my son, but then again I didn't necessarily put the actions or the way I felt connected to my child. But this is more like reverse cards, so it's more like how did they feel connected to their child. It's like with the Five of Pentacles, it's more like my child didn't have faith in me, or my child was like, it's like I wanted my child to kind of like let go of many options. I wanted my child to let go of many options and codependency issues. So my child kind of, I was aware of the fact that my child had kind of started having obsessions, or being addicted to certain stuff, and I wanted my child to stop doing those. It's like I wanted them to kind of let go of those things, of all these like options, or all these it's like Seven of Cups energy. I didn't want my child to have those. I didn't want my child to have addictions, but then again I didn't necessarily do that. I just kind of thought about it. I didn't want you to be addicted to those things. I knew you had many addictions, but I didn't want you to have them. But then again, perhaps why I didn't link action connected to it is because I was like, perhaps in that energy that perhaps this is what you like. But then again, you were holding on. So it's like my son or my daughter was holding on to these addictions. So it's like because they were holding on too fiercely, I was not necessarily gonna, you know, it's like if it's an adolescence, it's like teenage years perhaps, it's like perhaps your person lost their shit there. It's a bit like that, because how they're looking at their parents is like they've destroyed me. They've destroyed me, and I've hardened because of that. And I've kind of like learned how to kind of be a shaman, where it's like one of my parents were very like unusual type, perhaps, that it's like I myself am a bit unusual. This is how they kind of like, it's like, because with the Hermit card in the past, it could also be that it's like one of my mom was perhaps one of the most modern, or like one of my dads was one of the most modern people out there, who was like the first to live that life of singlehood, or the first to kind of abandon their child to do something with their work, or it could be many ways, as if like I can go on my own path and I forget about my child completely. And for some of it's not even that, it's more like I was still with my child, but then again I put certain expectations on my child, and I might not have been available to them. I was very isolated, or I was in depressive mode perhaps at the time I had my child or something. It could be many ways, guys, because the Hermit, it's about that fermentation. It's like that pregnancy, but then again it could also be considered the dark night of the soul, or it's like an old wise man that's walking in darkness in some way. It's that energy. So, and then in the near future, with the Nine of like Pentacles in reverse, the 10 of Swords energy, the Page of Cups and the Three of Cups. It's more like when I'm kind of like approaching my child, or it's like how I've raised them till now, let's say. It's more like I like the fact that they're independent, okay? Or I like the fact that I'm independent as the parent, or we are independent as the parent. As if like we all have our own like individual lives. It's a bit funny. And with the Ten of Swords, it's that energy of it's like in some way my son or my daughter puts me to my place. It's that way. As if karma is a bitch in some way. Okay? As if like I'm stressed, or I kind of put my child under stress. With the Page of Cups, it's more like I try to show affection because I feel like I didn't show it in the past, perhaps. It's more like it's an awkward situation, this one. This one, it's a bit awkward, as if like at initially there was an element of there was too much pressure put on the child. In the present moment, there's an element of we're staying away because there's an element of addiction, and it's like confusing, and it's like that my child is depressed or something. Or it's like I'm aware that my child is having difficulties because of me or something. Could be that way. Or addictions for some part. It's like drug issues or stuff like that. But I was aware of that, but then again, I didn't necessarily do something. I just wanted them to stop it. But then again, perhaps I kind of like tried stopping it, but they didn't stop. Whatever their addiction or codependency is. And then in the near future, it's more like I will show more love. Because perhaps I was not able to love myself. The parents were not able to love themselves because they didn't know, they had many things to figure out. And with the Three of Cups, it's more like to be happy when I see my son or my daughter. And it's like sometimes my daughter or my son is gonna kind of like give me that like cold shoulder a bit. It's a bit that energy, okay? This one, it's more like it's more mind stuff. It's more like distance a bit. But then again, the kind of connection they have, it's like graceful. So on a physical level, perhaps you feel like there's no issue, there's no difficulty. Everything looks like it's well played or something. That's how they kind of want to keep it, both sides. It's more negotiation. It's like negotiable kind of like connection, okay? Of your person. The person kind of negotiates with their parents or something. I don't know. It's a bit that way. It's like they have a certain distance. They need both their own space, where it's like all three of them, or whatever the family motto is. It's a bit like we all need our own distance. And in the that was it, okay? So that was all I had for pile 2. Now pile 3, whoever chose the Fountain Tarot, welcome to your reading. I hope you're all safe and healthy in this time. So, let's see pile 3. What do you need to hear? How did your person's parents or parent treat them or raise them? So I think we're ready, but this is more like the energy of, it's like if you were to ask your person how did your parents raise you, what they'll answer you. You have Altea. So for some of you, it's more like, it's like, I'll say that it's like, my parents are like black and white people, okay? It's like, it's either black, it's either white, but then again, I can't even say that. It's very balanced. As if like overall what I heard when I kind of opened the archetype, it's more the energy of Justice card in some way. It's like they were very strict with me for some part. They were quite strict with me. But they made me learn. what type of connection did I have with my parents? It's like, or do I have? Did I or I do? Okay, you have time. And how were one of my family members, or it's like both of them, what was their energy connected to the raising? So you have consciousness and divine feminine. Okay, so I kind of like teach you, okay, the parents of this person raised the person in such a way that it's like, they're conscious to face any kind of chaotic element, as if like I've prepared my son in such a way that they can face difficult times or very good times, as if like the son or the daughter is well prepared to face any kind of situation regarding life. But I'll tell you, it's more like I'll tell you, it's like if you were to ask your person how will they kind of respond to you, it's more like I was criticized, I was like degraded, but then again there were times where they were very proud of me, so they kind of like encouraged me. So it's a very balanced energy, as if like they were there when I needed them, they were also there when I didn't need them. But it's funny, it's not funny, it's like that energy. My parents wanted to teach me how to be able to survive. Overall, that's the word. My parents wanted me to survive. Learn how to survive society, learn how to survive in a conscious manner, learn how to make money for some part. And what type of connection I have with my parents with the time, it's a timeless connection. Like, I love my parents. And my parents love me. It's an equal give and take, this one. Okay, it's like, it's equal give and take. So what's the main situation regarding the teachings? So you have the Tower card. Okay. It's very balanced energy. Then you have their challenge is the High Priestess, with the Lover's card and the Two of Cups. Okay. Is the reason why you have the Eight of Cups, King of Pentacles in the past. In the present moment, you have the Ace of Swords. In the near future, you have the Emperor. Okay. It's definitely that energy that I want my son or my daughter to kind of be able to survive any kind of situation. Because in some way, what has happened in this one, it's more like there's the bitter truth that your person's not necessarily talking about. They're more focusing on good stuff. It's that energy of, it's like with the Tower, it's more like because they wanted me to always have my 2 feet on the ground, okay? You have the balanced Tower here, and the rest of whatever is extra needs to crumble so that you always keep your balance. And it's like, if I were to kind of mention this to you, it's also the balancing nature of the good and the bad. So overall, it's like, how did the parents like raised your person is that I always put my son or my daughter to their place. You have to know where you're standing. It's like your person is very who they are right now because of the way their parents behaved with them. For some of you, it's like the family like abandoned the child, or it's not even abandonment, as if like we let our child deal with stuff. We were the strict type. It was very strict, this one. It's a very strict energy I got. Because my challenge as a parent, it's like you had the High Priestess, as in like tune into more knowing, intuitive energy to me as parents. With the Lover's card, it's like be very more loving, because you have the Lovers and you have the Two of Cups, as if like it's like perhaps the child felt like they were not loved, or in some way the parents' challenge was to kind of love their child. As if like for some part it's more like the child was an orphan for some of you. It could be that the child didn't have parents, and with the time energy there, it's more like I will meet them when the time is right, as if like once I kind of decide to search for them. So in some way for some of you it's more like I needed to survive, and I just needed to focus on surviving this one. And my challenge, or the challenge of my parents, was to kind of follow their intuition, their own faith element, to take the decision to, you know, either follow their love life or to kind of follow this romantic love that is connected with being a mother or father, connected to me or the child, whoever it was. Okay, but that's the biggest challenge, is to be loving towards their child. So this child feels very like, it's like I learned how to face reality big time, to face the element of you know, being abandoned, or it's like I needed to have my shit together, or less my parents will not necessarily, you know, be happy. For some of you, it's not even the parents having an impact on the child. It's more like the child needing to kind of, or the child's lifestyle made the child in such a way that it doesn't need to be strictness. It's more like because my parents were always not there, they were always after their job, they always like didn't want to give up on themselves, or they were always the for some of you it might be that one of the child's, it's like one of my parents were an alcoholic or something, but then again perhaps they stopped, but then again I had to face many things with my parents, so I might have some wounds with my parents. This one it's more wounds than the other ones, or there's another pile also that was similar to this. And in the past with the King of Pentacles, it's more like the family was more strategic. The family parents were more, it's inward cards, as if like the family was observing the child always. And they had a certain vibration of, I see you, what can you offer me? As if like, it's like, I put you to your place, but what can you offer me in some way? So the mother figure perhaps for some part was more teaching the child how to be more conscious, connected to embracing many stuff, or the father figure that was more like calculative and invested. So it's like how they were, the raising was, it's more like embraced the opportunities, consciously go after money or something like that. But overall we were that energy, as if like we went after the money ourselves, or we had depressive situations, or it's more like go after the money because I need money for you to pay for my bills. Many ways to go at it, okay? With the Ace of Swords, it's more like we woke up to a certain truth, as if like there's a truth that it's like my child perhaps is now very rich and we need to get hooked on. Or for some of you it's more it's very black and white with the family. It's more like we did our best, now what can you offer us? I'm your mother, what can you offer me? Or I'm your father, what can you offer me? But then again, it's like, what did I offer you at that time? For some of you I was very strict. For some of you I didn't give a shit about the child. I was preoccupied with other stuff, and my biggest challenge was to love this child. I might have had 3 other children, but then again, my challenge was to love this child. I don't know if the family does some favoritism, or if the family policy is connected to what do you have to bring on the table. It's a bit that energy also. It's very survival instinct vibrated. It's vibrated. Vibration. But it's like what type of connection it is. It's either timeless, or it's a connection that's gonna grow with time. Okay, so I don't really like, there's many ways you can go. Okay, so that's all I had. That was all. Okay, thank you, pile 3. Now, pile 4, whoever chose Mystic Monday, welcome to your reading. I hope you're all safe and healthy in this time. So let's see. How did their parents raise them? So if we were to ask your person, how did your parents raise you? They'll say, for me to have a certain vision, okay? It's more like for me to have a certain vision in my life. As if like it's very goal-oriented. How can you make money for some of you? It's like, how can you become a person that's well accomplished so that you can make a lot of money? Can be somebody in your life. So what type of connection I had with my parents and what type of like energy are my parents? Definitely you have the prosperity energy, and this is the sacral chakra. It's very emotionally linked, and you have the prosperity energy. So my family had a vision. Okay, it's like, how will I kind of express how did my parents raise me? I'll say my parents had a vision when they had me. My parents had a vision when they had me. And they were very prosperous. So I had a very wealthy family, perhaps for some of you. I'm quite rich. I'm I'm the golden spoon child, or I'm the silver spoon child, however you want to go at it. I'll kind of say that my parents really gave me a lot of like wisdom, or they kind of made me learn through experience, or it's like they kind of taught me a lot of stuff, as if like they sent me to many cool places, and I learned a lot of stuff. And it's like, it's a family that kind of is very prosperous. It's a family, it's parents, it's like a family environment where it's very fruitful, very abundant, very majestic, very giving, a lot of it. It's very easy. It's in a very gorgeous flow. So my parents love me in that way. They love me all the time. This is how the person kind of tunes into their parents. It's like they are very wise. They taught me a lot of stuff, a lot of wisdom. I am who I am because of them. That's how they'll kind of answer you. They're quite grounded. They were grounded people, my parents. And what type of connection I had with the sacral chakra? It's very sensuous. It's very loving, orange color. I was gonna say sexual, but it's not necessarily that. I don't necessarily think so. It's more like what type of connection I have with my parents. It's very emotionally satisfying. Me and my mom and my dad have a very good emotional connection. We have that kind of connection. We understand each other. We know of each other's moods. We know of each other's difficulties or like weaknesses. It's like that. We love each other. Overall, there's a lot of love. There's a lot of abundance. There's a lot of flow in this one. Okay, it's very prosperous. There's a lot of generosity. We're going with the wave, etc. Okay, so that's the main situation. You have the Princess of Swords energy here, and their challenge with the Nine of Swords. The reason why it's the Ace of Swords. In the past, you have the Four of Pentacles. In the near future, you have the Lover's card with the Ten of Wands. And in the near, well, I said in the near future, but it's in the present. In the near future afterwards, you have the Ten of Pentacles plus the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so, and below the deck, you have Princess of Pentacles. So my parents are always there to, you know, give me all the support I have, okay, till now. For some of you, it's more like there's an inheritance I received from my parents, okay? With the 10 of like Pentacles, there's a lot of inheritance I receive. Or in the near future, I have a lot of inheritance. So the main situation with the Princess of Swords, it's more like how my parents taught me to be, or how my parents raised me, is that I can bend the rules in some way, or I can make things happen for myself if only I know how to master my mind, perhaps this one, or use my mind, my sharpness, my intellect to kind of work for me, not against me. So that's the kind of energy I tuned in, as if like she's bending the sword, as if like I have a certain mastery over it. It can work in my favor, not against me. It's that kind of energy here. And the reason why I tune into that is that it's like with the Ace of Swords, it's more like my parents always spoke the truth to me. They allowed me a certain expression. They were very involved with me, perhaps, or they always focused on empowering me, perhaps. But my challenge, or their challenge as parents, is that sometimes I was the type that I put a lot of expectations over myself because my parents were very exceptional. Let's say you started getting anxiety that you were not necessarily to their, it's like the child having a certain inferiority complex connected to their parents, as if like my parents gave me all. They gave me all the things that I wished them to give to me, but then again, I felt like I was not good enough to kind of take those, or I was having some kind of like difficulty blending in because I was too wise for my age. It's a bit like that, as if like the family has a certain wisdom to it, but the child is like feeling anxious connected to the wisdom it has. It's like that. And in the past, connected to the raising, is that with the Four of Pentacles, it's more like we taught our child to be very not stubborn, but to hold on to the things that he or she liked to do. Invest in the things that he or she liked to do. And in the present moment with the Lover's card and the Ten of Wands, it's that energy of like we are more in tune with them. We are making our child, or during the teenage years perhaps, it's more like how we behave with our child. With the Lover's card and the Ten of like wands, it's more that energy that we might have not been aware of the fact that our child was anxious or had a lot of like expectations on themselves, or it's like it had a lot of expectation, as if like there was an element of we were not aware that our child was having anxiety issues, or was being bullied, or had difficulties facing our expectations, as if like the child had certain it's like I degraded myself because I felt like I was not good enough, or I was not able to meet my parents' expectations. It's a bit that energy. But in the teenage years, the parents kind of thought that everything was going well, but then again, perhaps, or the parents were showing the child that everything was going well, but then again, they were hustling, or they were like, they had many burdens on them. So the child might have sensed that it's like the parents are very anxious, or they did not even understand, or they were not able, not at that age to kind of see that the family had responsibilities. But they kind of showed the child that everything was going well, as if like we went on vacations, we purchased still whatever they wanted us. It's like the family always tried to provide the best way possible to the child, but then again, the parents had a lot of expectations or burdens on them. like, it's not even expectations. The parents have a lot of burdens, responsibilities. And it's a bit hard for the parents. Perhaps the child did tune into that element. So, and in the near future with the 10 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, it's very funny because you have the Ace in reverse and you have the 10 of Pentacles upright. It's more like the family will take this opportunity sooner or later. How will they kind of like, or how did they raise till now, let's say. It's more like, I have a lot of money I'm gonna offer to my child, and if it's not a lot of money, it's a lot of experience that I have accumulated that my child will be able to, you know, kind of like do her own thing with that knowledge. But with the Ace of Pentacles, it's more like, hold on to the, how did I raise my child? I will still be very loving towards my kid, my child. And with Ace of Pentacles, it's like, I will show the love I feel in a very grounded manner. For some of you, it's like they're going to give their child the inheritance, or they're going to kind of gift the child a lot of stuff. Okay, so that's what I had for you. Pile 4. But for some of you, the parents of this person are quite wealthy. Okay, so that's 1. And pile 5, welcome to your reading, whoever chose the Tarot of the Sheep. Let's see. How did their parents raise them? So if you were to ask your person, how did your parents raise you, what will they kind of answer you? So with the agape, it's more like, it's like, I'm going to tell you the truth, the honest truth, that let me see, 1 second. You have the 6th chakra. This is what type of connection I have with my parents. And you have the remembrance. So for some of you, I don't even know who my parents are. And that's what I meant with the truth. It's more like, I have no idea who they are. And it's like, what type of connection I have is remembrance. As if like, for some part, it's more like I was not lucky. It's as if like something bad happened. As if like they lost their parents at a young age, or they have no idea who their parent is. This might be an orphan, or this might be a person that lost its mother or its father. As if like, I don't even know who my mom is, or I don't know who my dad is, but I know who my mom is. But then again, I just remember slightly my mom because she passed away or something, or she abandoned me. And it's like, what type of connection I have, it's just psychic elements. As if like, I just go back in my memory. It's very simple like that. So for some of you, this is the only energy I have. It's not even for some of you, for all of you who pick this pile. It's more like with Dancer 8, escaping stagnation. Okay, so perhaps this is more the energy of the parent or the mother. Then you have the challenge was Maker 6, generosity. Be generous, connected to me. Oh, fudge. We're not going to go in that energy, are we? And the reason why you have the Warrior Queen, gift of charm. And Wheel of Fortune. In reverse. In the past, you have Dancer, Prince, gift of passion. with Maker 3, which is labor's fruit in reverse, and the World card. 21. Okay. In the present moment, you have the Warrior King, gift of glory. In the past, you fudge. In the near future, you have Maker 10, kingdom prospers. So King of Pentacles with foundations blessed, Warrior 4. So for some of you, I just kind of like grew up in an orphanage, or it's like whoever kind of like raised me. It's like I had either somebody who raised me, somebody who adopted me, or a family member that it's like a cousin or my aunt or my grandmother kind of raised me, okay? So how did my grandmother or whoever it was kind of like raise me with this escaping stagnation? Overall, I feel like this child went to the orphanage, because it's more like, it's like, how was I raised? It's more like I felt still. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I felt like I was part of the mud, the trash size. It's like that. It's like, why would I be abandoned by my parents? It's that energy. And the reason why with the Wheel of Fortune and the Warrior Queen is that either like my mom was or it's like something happened. It's either she catched the cold, either she was very charming, either she died of STD, or she was one of those prostitutes. Many reasons can go. I'm not gonna insult anybody. I do respect everyone. It's just that the energy here, it's a very like many ways to go at it. And the challenge connected to the situation with the generosity is to be generous, or receive generosity, or receive donations, or receive some kind of like love from the universe. But I had love as if like the orphan people who are my friends, but then again in the orphanage it's not necessarily loving until you get adopted. Sorry guys. And basically in my past, okay, at the time I was a child, the World card is more like, that's where I kind of figured out that it's like I have two sides to me. I have the shadow side to me, and I have the light side to me, or I kind of tuned into the world being a specific way, as if like there's the good and there's the bad always. With the Maker 3, it's like labor's fruit. It's more like I learned to kind of inwardly work for myself and you know, have things going on for me in my own way. And it's like with the Dancer Prince, I had many opportunities to be you know, adopted or something. Or it's like many opportunities to kind of, you know, work for myself, either with my grandmother or my aunt. I always felt like, though, I didn't blend in. Sometimes it's like I felt like I was trashy, or I was like an orphan all the time. And in the present moment right now with the gift of glory, it's more like I'm kind of like tuning into the fact that I can have glory, I can be successful in some way. And in the near future with the Maker 10, kingdom prospers, and Warrior 4, foundation blessed, it's more like I will have my own family with you if you are my person. It's more that energy. It's more like I will have this opportunity to know what a parental love is once you and me are gonna have our own children. So it's like that. It's like I will have my own family in that way. So overall, it's more like I don't have memories, or it's like what type of connection I have with my family. it's only in my head space, it's only in my psyche, or it's only in my unconsciousness. It's that energy. Okay, so that's all I got for all of you. Okay, I hope it resonated, and that will be it. Thank you guys. Bye bye.